Welcome to the show, everyone. We have another great show. As always, I got Chris Jackson alongside me. Now, tonight's show is a great one. We are going to be talking about some games and some recaps, as long as some NIL deals that a certain high school has signed. So we're going to start with talking about that. What do you think about, if you guys haven't heard, St. John Bosco signed an NIL deal, I guess, with the apparel company that allows players on that team to have the opportunity to get NIL deals like college players, but obviously the money's not as big. I think it's about $400 per player, whoever signs. But by CIF law, technically the school didn't sign an NIL. Technically, it's the apparel company that's giving the players the opportunity to pursue a deal if they want. What do you think about that?
I've never seen a full team wide one before. I remember when Jaden Rashada, the quarterback from Pittsburgh up here going to Miami, got an NIL deal here in high school. I've never seen a full team though. Of course, like you said, CIF rules, you're not allowed to be, it can't be like the team signs that, right? It's just like players individually. They can't also showcase the Bosco logo or anything like that. It's just individual player based. It's different. And I know California has legislation that allows NIL at the high school level. Is different legislation. I know in Texas they didn't have that. Quinn Ewer is one of the reasons why he left a year early to go to Ohio State. Now he's back at Texas for college. But I mean, it's an interesting thing. I'm not gonna lie, I thought the numbers would be different, of course, with the roster so big. I'm not sure why I was thinking it'd be like higher numbers per player, but $400 per player. It's not a ton of money that
Not
you see.
really anything.
Well, I guess
It's
it's the
talking
next
like
level, right? So I know the concern from some people I've spoken with, even myself, was how will this affect high school football? Because let's say money keeps pouring in like this for NIL, how is that going to affect other schools, smaller programs, some public schools? It could, but if it's just going to be, I don't know, $400 per player for the season, I don't know if that's going to have a drastic effect on high school football. That's just my opinion. If the money goes up, though, unfortunately, I do
Here's what
think
I
that could
think.
have more
I
big
don't.
effect.
I think the NILs for high schoolers isn't a bad thing in the sense where, I mean, it's a gray area because look, in college, yes, the players are making money for the school. So yes, they should be compensated. But in high school, is it really about ticket sales? Is it really about compensation? Like, I mean, I get maybe a St. John Bosco, who's, a really good school for sports, maybe, providing their players with a free education because it's a private school. But I think NILs for high school are kind of unnecessary. I mean, I think that if a player's, unless it's like an Arch Manning situation where he's a really good player and maybe like Under Armour or certain company says, okay, we want to give you a deal. But I think to directly essentially say that the school signed an NIL deal with whoever they signed with, I just think it's a little bit unnecessary, especially because these kids are 14, 15, 16, 17. Like, they still live at home. Do they really need to get all this extra money on the side when they're not really needing it? I mean, what's the point of it?
I guess the situation, right? Everyone's got a different financial situation,
That's
home
true. That's
situation.
true.
For me, right, I didn't grow up with really any financial struggles. I know other kids I did, friends of mine did. I know everyone's got a different situation. My concern is just it really affecting the whole high school football landscape.
It
I
does.
don't, I don't really want players to move to certain high schools because of money. I know what happens in college, and that's already be kind of what people say has become the wild, wild west. I don't want that to trickle down to high school. I don't think it will. Like some people are kind of concerned about, especially if it's $400 per player. I don't see it going crazy, right? I know Pittsburgh High School is a big football program, but
Yeah, they are.
Jaden Rashada is still at a public school and he's getting the big NIL deal. Why? Because he's a five-star quarterback with NFL potential, a great personality, a great dude, great character, great grades, and a great football player. So
Now,
I don't think it really matters where
yeah,
you're going to go in high school as much for that. Because if you're great, you're going to get something, right?
yeah, no, and I,
Name of the
I think the thing is, though, you need to take it out of high school because high school should be about education, right? I think in college, it's already a sad thing. I mean, look, I get that they're getting paid, but now college is becoming like an NFL type two, especially in the football like world of things. But I think that in high school, I agree. I don't think it can trickle down to high school because I think that high school should be a time where players focus on their education and where they want to go to school. because especially now that they know that if they're top athletes in college, they're going to be basically making money already. I think they need to spend a portion of their life at least focus on school, because after they get to college, they're not going to be like focused on school as much as they were. So it's
I
definitely a challenge.
I hate to shatter people's dreams, and I hate to say like these stats because I know everybody's got big dreams, right? And that's a great thing. You should.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
what's the percentage of high school athletes that get a college scholarship? And from those guys that actually, men and women that get scholarships at the next level, what percentage of them actually become professional athletes? And after that, how many last in the pros beyond 3 years? It just keeps getting smaller and smaller, right? The biggest thing should be
definitely
your
it's
education.
like a pyramid.
Yeah, and scholarship money, a 4-year scholarship is worth a whole heck of a lot more than a few $100s in high school with NIL, right? Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. That if you want to get the money, you want to get that short-term gains with money, sure, go right ahead. But do not lose sight of the bigger picture. Do not lose sight of your education, your future, because I do not want those short-term gains to hurt your long-term gains to where, great, you made a few $100 now, but then you've hurt yourself from making thousands, millions down the line from even college to the pros too, right? You're still focused on the NIL deal right now, but then it affects you actually getting that long-term NFL contract or even degree because you're still focused on the NIL. And because what happens in college too, when you transfer so many times, not every college credit transfers over. It doesn't. So it's hard to get that degree sometimes. And what if your NFL career or other sport just doesn't last long and you don't have a ton of money to fall back on?
Yeah.
You need that degree as well.
Or you can pull Steph Curry and get your degree during a championship run, like 10.
Right. You better be sure you're going to be that dang good.
He was focusing on the wrong finals.
That education. Yeah, you better be
finals.
You like LeBron didn't go to college. He didn't need to, right? LeBron was so dang good. I think everybody knew. Kobe Bryant, same thing. Steph, just confident, right? But just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. That's cool if you want to get these NIL deals, whatever. But please, please, please just strike that good balance and think about not just the next 4 years, but the next 40 years. It should not just be a 3-4 year plan. It should be a 40-year plan.
Yep. And speaking of the season starting, Vanden and Yuba City had a game last Saturday or Friday. What'd you think of it? How did that game go?
I mean, it was great to see high school football back. It was so nice. I know it's weird to say because a lot of the Bay Area technically does not start until this weekend, right? But Fayetteville Fairfield's in the Sac Joaquin section. They have 4-week playoffs instead of 3 like the NCS and CCS and other sections. But it was good. And Vanden won by 6. I know Yuba City had revenge because they had a big lead last year at Vanden, lost that, blew it. Vanden came back and won. Then Vanden goes up and wins a state title later in the year. Vanden came out though. And again, I honestly did not think Vanden would win going to their practice last week, but everybody has a bad day of practice. Is what I really learned too. And I told all the players after the game, heck, I messed up that prediction, right? But it's okay. Vanden came out, their quarterback, Trey Dimes. I think he would have completed 85% of his passes, just the usual kinks you go through week one with drops, miscommunication, but he looks even better than the 46 touchdowns he threw a year ago. He looks like a D1 guy. He's got a strong arm, accurate. I think he's going to break the Vanden record for film study in a year. I'm not sure what the record is or if they hold that technically, but I am pretty dang sure he's going to break that. Then they've got this junior receiver, I should say, at 800 yards as a sophomore. Braden Chavez, let me just read you these numbers. We put these catapult wearable vests on. A lot of people, you probably see them now. College programs wear them too in practice games. Oh, yeah. Braden Chavez, 20.4 miles per hour on that 85-yard touchdown catch he had at the high school level for a junior in high school too. We see some of the top-notch seniors hit 21, 22. He's a junior already hitting 20.4.
The thing is, you don't see a lot of players run that fast. You see college kids that are running 18, 19. You don't see that in high school. So that's telling that guy's going to go. That guy's going far if he's that fast.
He is. And don't forget, it was August 19th and a day when it was 107, 2 hours before kickoff in Yuba City. And he does this in week one where
it's going to be a good year for him. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, he's going for easily 1,000 yards, had over 100 yards on 3 catches, probably would have had 300 all-purpose yards because he had a punt return for a touchdown called back. I think a 70-yard touchdown catch called back. He had some good return yards.
And you got the miss don't help.
But let me read these other. Sorry. Yeah, right. And that's not week one kinks. Yuba City had some week one kinks. Every program does. You see it in the NFL too, week one, right? Even after the preseason, week one's still not the prettiest football.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened. Yeah, that's what I have to remind the coaches sometimes too. They're like, man, we were a little sloppy out there, but don't forget it's August 19th that day. It's week one. Every team is dealing with that. Same with the NFL. But let me read some other numbers to you. Van's secondary looked really good. That was my concern because they lost guys that I think combined for 12, 13 picks on last year's senior class. Looked great, covered really well, broke up passes. Chris Clark was awesome in that secondary. Interception, really athletic one over a guy, couple of pass breakups, tackles for loss. A safety, Marcellus Chandler, a junior, ran in 19.82 miles per hour in game speed. You got Jordan Jones, a 2024 running back at 17.96. And let's not forget Orion Noel. He had a banged up ankle, still was in the backfield. He was giving a Pac-12 commit the work, like the absolute work in this game, especially in the second half. He wasn't 100% healthy. He had 29 tackles for loss last year. First game, won't say he's on pace for that, but don't forget, film will tell a different story with how much work he did. He probably would have had 18 miles per hour plus, still 16.42 miles per hour with a bad ankle. These Vanden players were on fire. They were looking
They're
good. I think
athletic. They're athletic.
both sides of the football looked really good. I think they're starting to come together, which
Yep.
is a good sign. Build off that state title run. This is a Vanden team that's going to go far again.
Well, that's good. Now that we have games coming up this weekend, though, the official start of the season for the rest of the area, should we predict some games? Shall we predict to see how some of these teams are going to do this year?
And any games on the schedule that you just look at off first glance and you're like, okay, that looks pretty dang good.
I have to be honest here. Clayton Valley is a team against Salinas that I'm always interested in. Like, I'm looking at the notes right now of the games they got. Clayton Valley and Salinas is going to be a good week one. I feel like that's going to be a tough game, but I mean, my score prediction, if I had to look, Clayton Valley is always going to run up the works on teams, but they also keep games close. Their defensive team is going to be a defensive game, I think, because Clayton Valley, and at least in my experience against them, they've been a defensive team. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game, but you know what? I'm going to say 17 to 14. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. It's a week one game, but I think it's going to be a 17 to 14 game, Clayton Valley's favor.
I like that prediction, and Clayton Valley too is one of those teams, right, where they'll eat 8 minutes off the game clock, right? And then if the score doesn't look big, but it's because they took off so much time and they're still scoring most of their possessions. They've got some good running backs. They've got that quarterback situation we mentioned before. That's really good. You all know about their coaches, but then they also added player moved back to the Bay Area, played at Pittsburgh before, went to Bishop Gorman for a little bit. He's committed to Tennessee. A 4-star Will Stallings is back in the Bay Area. He's now with Clayton Valley too. This is a good game because Salinas also has Nazia Hunter committed to Cal. They have an Idaho commit. They've got some athletes. I think Clayton Valley wins this one in a close one, though. I think it's going to be a 28-21 ball game.
I just like higher scoring, huh? You think it's going to be more?
Yeah, I just think because Salinas is going to have some quicker scoring drives. I think that's fine. I think I could see this game really coming down to the end with the talent on both sides, but I just believe Clayton Valley's experience on both sides of the football is going to pave the way to a big win to open the season.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just so hard for me to predict a high score, especially knowing what you said about the clock trimming. If they're going to trim the clock, it's going to be hard for the score to be going up. Another game I see on here that's interesting is Acalanes of San Marin. Acalanes has been on the come up the last couple seasons. If this game was a couple seasons ago, I'd say that it was going to be a blowout on San Marin's side, I think, but Acalanes is on the come up a bit. They got some players on that squad that have some offers, have some like interest and stuff. So I'm going to say, I mean, I don't think Acalanes is going to win necessarily, but I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be closer. It's going to be a 28-24 win. San Marin takes it. Especially
it's going to be a fun one. Both coaching staffs are unbelievable. San Marin's coming off that state title run last year, a score away from even beating Marin Catholic in the regular season. They've got Dominic and Grassi at quarterback. They've got 3 receivers that can play at the next level. Linemen, every single position they check the boxes. Acalanes has a lot of speed. They've got 2 receivers with D1 offers in that 2024 class. Mason Zirkle's a sleeper. I like Ellis Berger. I think he's going to go for 1,000 yards at running back. And Floyd Bird said he was the head coach at Miramonte in a lot of its glory days when they won all those NCS titles back in the day. He's the Acalanes head coach. he's still pumping out these offenses, man. It's stupid how good his offense is. And I love his assistants. Jesse Stewart's a great one.
Yep.
That guy is so invested in coaching on social media and everything else. Their assistants are great. I just think San Marin's going to pull out a close one. 35-31. It's going to be a firework show. I'm telling you
Yeah.
that right now. It's
You
going to be
also
fun.
have-
I would
you have
not be
also-
shocked. If I was doing one of those ESPN percentage things, I would give San Marin a 51% chance to win. That's how close
You
this
got
matchup is.
51-49. Yeah, I'd probably say I mean, it's going to be close, but like I said, I mean, it's not going to be a blowout like it would have been a couple seasons ago. Because as good as the staff is, Acalanes, like let's be honest, they weren't the best team a couple seasons ago, but now they've gotten better, like I've said, and they're on the come up. But
I think it shows how good this coaching staff too is and how much
True.
they're developing guys, because I think it was a couple of years ago they beat Camp Lindo, they make a league title run and all of that. Brady Hutchinson, amazing quarterback, goes on to Oregon State. Now he's back at Foothill College. They're just pumping out guys now, and that league is tough. They're one thing you got to give Acalanes credit for too is that schedule. They don't schedule easy. Even that spring
They
season
like
they
to play
had a
hard
couple years
games.
ago. Yeah, there was that spring season a couple years ago. They had their 4 league opponents. Then they played Cal and Monte Vista there. So I think Acalanes is one of those really fast rising programs in the Bay
Yeah,
Area.
they play
They've got to
tough.
be one of the most improved programs in the Bay Area the
They
last
have.
5 years.
Absolutely.
I think them and San Marin both are right on that same level of
They
most
are,
of the
and
teams in the
they
Bay
both
Area.
play tough too. That's the thing. So yeah, but let's go across the pond now and talk about Miramonte. They're playing against Berkeley. It's a home game though in Orinda. Miramonte obviously has a quarterback that's a really good quarterback, so I think that helps with every team. Miramonte is the same position Acalanes is in, as in they're also on the. I think they were on the fall a little bit. Now I think they're a bit on the rise again, but I'm going to say Miramonte is going to take it, but I think it's going to be a 35-21 game in Miramonte's favor, and Luke is going to go off, I think, in the first game. He's pumped. He's at UCLA commit now. He's pumped up. He's going to play angry in his senior year. He's coming.
I think you just read my mind. I was about to say 35-21 Miramonte. I love Berkeley. I love their head coach, David Perry.
I will say that.
They've got a bright future. Perry's a great guy, but I think Miramonte takes it. Anytime you've got a 6'5" quarterback like Luke Duncan, you're going to have a chance in every ball
Yeah,
game.
and I think anytime you're playing a rebuilding school, it's nothing against the coaching staff or anything, but it's a rebuilding school. And I think with a rebuilding school, there's a lot of unknowns, and Miramonte has more of that consistency. So I definitely think that Miramonte is going to have. But let's talk about one that I know. Both of these teams I am pretty familiar. Like I know these teams pretty well in my life. Lomas and Rancho Cotati. Cotati's gonna win this game because they're always tough, especially because that trip I've done it from the Walnut Creek all the way there.
So actually, this game is in Walnut Creek.
It's in Walnut Creek. Okay, because I'm my bad. The way I read the notes was wrong, but I still think Rancho Cotati is gonna get the dub. They are a bit of a better team, I think, overall. They have some athletes on Los Lomas, but I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a 35-31 game in favor of Cotati, I think. It's a close game. It's going to be close, though. It's going to be close.
I love both teams because they both bring their starting quarterbacks. Liam Keeney is an awesome quarterback for Rancho Cotati. I don't think he gets enough love. Yes, I made sure I got his name right too, because I've always mixed up his name with Granada's got a really good guard in basketball named Nate Keeney. I don't know why I mixed the two up, but I do. There we go, though. I got Liam, but anyway, he's got some athletes. I love Silasa Vajrawale, a Cal commit, 6 picks, all these touchdowns last year.
He's great too.
He's a two-way player. And Ananias Walker is a great 2024 prospect and to play Power 5 football. Los Lomas brings back its quarterback. Emmanuel Carnley is a great defensive back with a lot of Division I offers. This is going to be a great game. I'm on Rancho Cotati's side though for this one. I think
I am too.
I think it's a 28-24 ball game.
I'd say that if I had gotten it right the first time and the game was at Cotati, I think it would be more of a blowout, only because that trip's hard to do in one day and play the game, because it's a bit of a trip, all that, and it definitely, as experience, it takes a toll on a team. But even though with Los even if it's in Walnut Creek, I still think Cotati's going to take it, though. I do think, but it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think it's going to be. Reardon and Granada, they have a new coach at Reardon, as
It's
we
crazy.
know.
Both of these teams do. Both of these teams do.
They're
I'm
both-
going to say too. I'm going to Granada's practice here in about 20 minutes. They're one of the most improved teams too. Their new head
Yep.
coach is dialed in. Their JV team last year went 10-0, outscored teams
Yep.
340-20. I love their quarterback. I'm telling you, you can throw it 75 yards with these. Quinn Boyd is going to play D1 football. They got a 6'6", 240 tight end, defensive end. Thomas Schnapp, Christian Klauser is a great running back, and DB Kiko Barcinas is first team all league. Even with all that, I still think Reardon wins this game.
Really, I was going to say.
Reardon's one of these really rising programs that's at Reardon. I just think Adhir Ravapati's first game, he's something about his game planning for this, and the guys they have up front, especially on the line. I think line play is huge. I think it's going to be a really good game, but Reardon is going to edge Granada out in this one for the season opener.
I think it's going to be Granada. It's going to be close. It's going to be like 21-17, but Granada wins. The only reason why, I know both of them have new coaches and all that, but I struggle to pick teams to win when not only they have a new coach, but they're in the position that they are into, where they are a rising program and they don't have that established stuff yet. So I think they're going to be good, but it's hard to pick them in the first game of the season. So I do have to pick Granada in this game.
Yeah, I can go with that too. I think Granada's got the continuity also in a lot of ways because they brought up their JV head coach. So obviously there's a lot of familiarity with the guys coming up, but it's just Adhir Ravapati. If I pick against it here, I just can't for some reason. I just think the line play too. You've got two D1 offensive linemen at least. It's hard for me to pick against that. But yeah, I mean, if Granada wins, I don't know if anybody out here is going to be surprised.
Let's do a couple more games, but I got a game that I think is really good here to do, and that's Marin Catholic and Freedom. That's going to be a great game. Both of these programs are top notch. I know that for a fact. They are both really, really, really good teams. Marin Catholic, I think, is going to take it though, because every year Marin Catholic is always that team. They're just always that team, pretty much. It's going to be close. It's going to be 20. I'm going to say, just for fun, 28-27. Let's say it's a 1-point game. It probably won't happen, but both of these teams are pretty solid. I think it could go either way, but I think let's just say it's going to be a 1-point game. It's going to be 20-27. That is my pick for score.
I really like what Freedom's got. They've got some new players coming in. Samaje Featherstone's a D1 guy. Jacob Lasso is going to be a D1 quarterback. Tyler Olaz's a D1 player. Herschel Turner's a D1 player. Great athlete all around, over 1,100 all-purpose yards last year. I still think Marin Catholic gets the job done on the road, though, in Oakley. That is a tough trip to Oakley, all the way. That's going to be tough. Don't underestimate that sometimes, because I think even us, sometimes we make a long trip to a game. Heck, me to Yuba City last week, by the end, you're just kind of like, holy crap. Okay, where's the Red Bull when I need it? But I still think Marin Catholic winning the state title. They've got a lot of experience coming back on both sides of the ball. Will Clemens headlines that great defense. You've got Joey Cook moves in from San Marin, a state championship winning quarterback. A D1 running back and Charles Williams, great line play. They've got some great receivers, J.R. Boss, Matt Greco, to name a few. I think Marin Catholic gets the job done on the road.
What's your score prediction on that one, though? I'm curious.
35-17 Marin Catholic.
Oh, you think it's going to be more of a blowout? All right. I think it's
I think there's just going to be some situations where Marin Catholic's defense comes up big on a fourth down.
There will.
I think the yardage totals are going to be pretty close, if I'm being honest with you. But just those fourth down situations, I think those red zone critical downs, Marin Catholic's defense is so stout. That's where the game's going to be won or lost.
Week one's the best week, in my opinion, because I think anything can happen.
Yep.
You see teams that you never would expect to win pull out a dub, or you see like a closer game than you thought. So you never know. But let's finish on a good game here. Let's finish on say Ignatius versus Palo Alto.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's the
Palo
one
Alto's Palo Alto's got a new coach. They've got great line play. They've got some great receivers. I'm telling you what, though, St. Ignatius' line play. They've got a couple of D1 linemen. They've got
also that team.
Yeah, they've got a quarterback, Mac McAndrews, that is, I'm not sure why he doesn't at least have FCS offers yet. That kind of baffles me. I think he'll at least play in the Ivy League. He's that smart and that good. San Ignatius wins it home, and it's actually San Ignatius's first home night game because they've always played during the day. Now they have lights.
Oh,
A Friday night there,
they're winning.
you
They're
know that's
winning.
going to be a fun atmosphere
They're
there.
winning because I've played there in the past, and the atmosphere in a day game is insane. If they play at night, it's gonna be they're gonna win that game. I personally think because of the atmosphere, it's not gonna be as close. It's gonna be 35-20. That's what I think. Both of these teams are good. I don't think Palo Alto is gonna be getting blown out like that every game. But like you were saying, if it's their first game out of the at on a night game, it's going to be crazy. Everyone's showing out. The players are going to be juiced up. The coaches are going to be juiced up. The fans, it's going to be insane. So I think SI is taking that game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But these week one games are going to be so fun. I just can't wait for this.
Oh, I'm so excited. I mean, look, we've predicted a lot of games, but in reality, I just want to, I hope that they're good games because I know these kids, especially a senior, they want to represent their school one more time. And I'm just excited to see these kids have the chance to do that in another season that, it's a normal calendar season. They're playing a full slate of games. I'm excited. It's going to be great. Let's hope that no one gets hurt and that everyone gets offers gets offers that they want. And let's hope all goes well on the year.
Yeah, speaking of healthy, enjoy this run, everybody, because if I think everybody's seen it on Twitter, Northern California, Folsom's tight end committed to Stanford, a 4-star, broke his leg in the season opener of his senior year.
That's
Can't even
tough.
imagine the emotions of that. I know you could say, oh, he's got the scholarship to Stanford, this and that, but you can't ever replicate your senior year of high school football.
No, that's and that's the sad part too, is that's the year that everyone cherishes the most because it's the last year you're playing in your hometown in front of your family and friends necessarily. Like I know college is a big step, but it's the last year you really get to play at home with your family there every game. So I just hope that everyone has a good season, everyone stays safe, and everyone has fun watching some players hit the gridiron hard. And let's have a good one, everyone. Thank you so much. That's our show. Have a good one.